Hi everyone, welcome to Full Bloom. I'm Zita Christian. Connecticut is working very hard to attract the film industry. We're going to talk about that tonight. And the two gentlemen I have with me are well versed in what is going on in Connecticut and in the film industry. First, let me introduce you to George Norfleet. He is the director of the Connecticut Office of Film, Television, and Digital Media. George, thanks for being on the show tonight.
Absolutely, thank you for having me.
And to your right, Peter Fox, who is the Vice President of Tripeg Studios in Hamden, and Peter also the founder of the Inside Track screenwriting workshops, which we have at the Bushnell frequently.
Yes.
So
great to be back.
So we have on one way of looking at it, both sides of the fence, in the idea that you are both interested in film, making the idea of film growing in Connecticut. And George, you are in the government side of things, and Peter, you are someone working in the field itself. So I think this is going to be an interesting show. We'll get some good perspectives.
Okay.
So let me, well, first, before I forget, because I really want to be sure that I let everybody know about this, one of the reasons I asked these gentlemen on tonight is to not only talk about the film industry in general, but in particular, the fact that, excuse me, on August 13th and 14th at the Bushnell, we are holding something called the Bushnell Filmmakers Forum. And that forum is for those people who are interested in making film, people who are interested in film in general, whether you're screenwriters, whether you want to know about directing or producing. We've got 3 screenings of Oscar-winning and Oscar-nominated films. We have workshops, we have dinner, we have a panel discussion, we have a pitch fest, a lot to talk about, and we'll get to that later. But for now, I thought, let's take a bigger picture, look at the bigger picture of film in Connecticut. So first, George, let me ask you, why is it so important to bring the film industry or to grow the film industry here in our state? Is it such a good industry?
Yeah, I think.
She asked naively.
Yeah, and no. Yeah, absolutely. The film industry is a very important industry, and given where we are in these economic times, for lack of a better term, it's very important for the state to hold what they've got and to grow as many new industries and take care of what existing industries that we do have here. And film is one industry in particular that across the nation is really growing. And that's why we want to encourage its growth here. And in fact, the legislature has taken steps to help that growth by introducing incentivizing legislation to create a tax credit program for film production companies that come here and enrich our state by spending money, by hiring people, creating jobs, and creating a tax base that we can get revenue from.
So anybody who's making a film can get money to make a film? Is that the idea?
Almost. The State Film Office, which I'm the director of, is here to help anyone get their film done that's trying to get their film done. And you can be a student and have no money, or you can be a very large Hollywood studio and come and we're going to help you. But really the tax credit program, because it's based on, the incentive is a tax credit. It's based on how much a particular film might spend. So there are minimum levels of spending that you have to meet before you will qualify to earn a tax credit. But in terms of qualifying to earn assistance from my office, that is not revenue based.
Okay, so what's the minimum you have to spend to get the tax credit?
I was hoping you wouldn't ask me. No, the minimum is $100,000.
Oh, so I won't be making a movie next week. However,
you might be.
Never know.
It's all about financing. You know.
Well, that's true. So we're talking independent films. It could be a short, a very expensive short, or it could be obviously feature films. I mean, it's any film then, right?
It's absolutely any film. It's really predicated on the spend that a production company engages in. And $100,000, I mean, one of the things about film production is it's a very, I like to say, capital-intensive undertaking.
That's a way to phrase it. Yeah, it's
Thank
capital-intensive.
you. Yes.
Yeah.
So you can spend $100,000 on a short film quite easily. And then, of course, we all know that the mega blockbusters can spend up in the, hundreds of millions of dollars as well.
All right. Peter, let me ask you, Vice President of Productions down at Tripeg Studios in Hamden. So do you get people coming through who are saying, I'm making a film big enough to warrant a tax credit?
We have people coming through all the time. Now, the pre-production process for film is lengthy, as I'm sure George will tell you. It takes years sometimes to make a film. So sometimes people will come to us and say, well, we're about a year and a half out, or we're a year out, or we're 2 years out. But when things happen, they happen all at once, and they happen very quickly. The tax incentive that the state has passed has been just a blessing for the state and for filmmakers here, I think. When I first began teaching screenwriting here about 8 or 9 years ago, there was very little happening. And in the last 5 years, the demand for not only people who are skilled, but production facilities and the desire of the populace to be involved in the film industry has just mushroomed, and it's created a lot of activity in our economy. So to answer your question, yeah, we do get quite a few people coming through. And you know, what we're trying to do and what my job is just to try and drive business through the facility. And you know, this is why I'm flying out to California all the time, going to these festivals all the time. But before this incentive, none of that was happening here in Connecticut.
All right, so I'm going to go back, George, to something you said, though, that you, in your office, there are things that you can do for people even if they're not spending $100,000. So talk to me about some of the things you can do for the person who doesn't have that kind of budget yet.
Well, typically, everyone starts their project with their film project with a blueprint. If it's a movie, it would be called a script. So if you share your script with us, the first thing that folks do is they identify where they would need to shoot their film, the locations, in fact, that they would need to film at. And we have online an image location library that we have thousands of images of hundreds of locations across the state. And if you come to us and let's say that you're shooting a horror film and you need a church and some graveyards and a house, we can work with you with just what we have available online to help you understand what types of homes we have, what types of churches there are that might be available, what types of graveyards even that you might want to consider. And if you're in Chicago, if you're in Los Angeles, if you're in New York, even if you're in some place where you don't feel like coming to Hartford, we can send you a package online. You can click on it. It will take you to what we have assembled for you to take a look at in terms of the locations that are available that you could potentially film at in Connecticut.
So tell me, does that mean we have like studio lot sets sit around somewhere, or have you spoken with people who have said, sure, you can use my home, you can come in and film? Or is it both?
Absolutely. Coming from the business, the last thing you want to do is be talking to someone who really doesn't want to participate with the process. So that's a very uphill battle. And everyone, if you come and you visit our location library, or if you contact us and ask us to help you figure out what you would like, all of the images that we have, all of the contacts are people that we have previously screened that absolutely want to participate in the process, that would be happy to have a film come and shoot at that location.
Now, are those people paid? Like if somebody has some really unusual haunted looking kind of house, do they contact you and say, hey, just put me on the list in case somebody wants to make a film and they can use my house, and then are they paid?
Yes, people do contact us that, you know, if they think they have an interesting house, a haunted house, a beautiful home, whatever it may be, something that's next to the water, something that's, you know, nestled in a forest or maybe on farmland, whatever, they contact us if they would like to participate. In terms of being compensated, 90% of the time, locations are compensated. Now, when we were talking about helping students who might want to do a film who don't have a budget, if they don't have a budget, then they cannot necessarily compensate people. So there are certainly people that would be like, okay, you know, if you're going to write it, you know, compensate me for whatever inconvenience I might experience for you filming here. That's great. If you're not, then we don't. And we leave that up to essentially the filmmaker and the people that own the home or the business or the location in specific to work out the details of themselves. We don't negotiate for either side there.
And am I being a Pollyanna?